Hey everybody, and welcome to MTG Card Spotlight, which is a segment where I basically go over a different card every episode, usually kind of random, and we basically go over different aspects of the card, and discuss it. Today we have Shadow Guildmage, which is a creature originally from Tempest Block, no, not Tempest Block, Mirage Block, and but it was reprinted in Time Spiral as a time shifted card, which was basically a cycle of cards that were included in all Time Spiral booster packs. I think it was like an extra card slot or something, or it took the slot of like a foil, maybe, I forget. But they were basically cards that were older reprints that were reprinted in their same original card frame, which was really cool and very nostalgic, at the time. But Shadow Guildmage is basically a one drop, one black for a human wizard, which is it's a pretty relevant creature type, especially like nowadays, with Dominaria coming out or out. It's a 1/1, which is nothing impressive, but it has two different activated abilities that require different colored mana to use, and they basically do something within that color's kind of color pie, idea. For example, you tap a blue and you can put a creature you control on top of its owner's library, which seems odd, but it could be useful if you need to like save your creature from being removed and it's an important creature, or if it has a come to play trigger. Maybe you can get the come to play trigger used a couple times. I can't really think of too many other situations where that ability is really all that beneficial. It seems like most of the time it would just kind of slow you down. So that's kind of an interesting idea for to have an ability on the card. The second ability is nothing like it's nothing too special, but it is useful. I mean, it deals 1 damage to a creature or a player and 1 damage to you, so it's kind of like a pinger effect. Um, all in all, this is actually not a very powerful card. It's both its abilities are kind of lackluster. The blue ability being kind of lackluster in my opinion. The red ability is fine, but it has a drawback, which is weird. But that's to be expected with older cards, because a lot of times these older cards they were either really powerful, or they were either really underwhelming. There was usually not much middle ground with older cards in Magic. Um, it's like it's like Wizards was still kind of figuring out the balance levels of what was going on, like what was good, what was weak, or whatever. And especially with like multicolored kind of cards, this is not a multicolored card, but it's definitely meant to be in a multicolored deck. It's meant to be played in a Grissus style deck, which of course Grissus wasn't even a thing back then, but you know what I mean. Uh, so it's interesting that like you'll see it a lot when you look at multicolored cards that are like cards that like they usually kind of weaken us. They weaken a lot of cards down because they figured that multicolor was like like a disadvantage or advantage. It's interesting. But Shadow Guildmage is basically I like the art direction too for this card. It's illustrated by Mike Kimball, and I just really enjoy like the art of it. I say that a lot in these videos, but I usually choose cards that I like the art for because I just like looking at them. Um, I do like this art. It's very like kind of has an eerie kind of look to it and feel to it, which I enjoy. I really like the old school border. I think it really pops some of this art. Something I never realized until recently, and I watched a Magic the Gathering video about this. I forget the guy's name, but he does a lot of like a bunch of in-depth like analysis videos where he goes over certain aspects of the game. Does a lot of research for these videos, and he was doing one about frames, card frames, and he was talking about how in the original like originally when they first came out with like Magic the Gathering, they all the card frames had something to do with that color, kind of like some kind of way to represent that color visually, and you can tell it here, like with the bubbles. I never noticed that, but the bubbles on the black cards is kind of supposed to represent like a witch brewing, like necromancy magic and stuff, which is really interesting. I like that. I also like basically the flavor text is interesting. It's very simple, like flavor text, but it's very elegant too, kind of like profound. It's just I enjoy it. I enjoy this card overall from a visual kind of flavorful standpoint. Mechanics wise and power wise, I don't think it's really all that impressive. I would probably never play it myself. But let me know in the comments if you guys like this card, if you've played it.